going on the air.
Going on air soon.
Facebook has accepted the stream. Twitch has accepted the stream. YouTube has accepted the stream. I got to put your clock on there. All right, let's put the clock on.
Go. Ooh. Space.
Do you want the clock higher? Want it up here?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Okay. When the clock says on the air, you're on the air. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
We just do maybe 15 seconds of silence.
I'll start the clock when you hit the clapper.
Okay. Thank you. Hello, Think Twice Radio, and welcome to another episode of Smalltalk with Matt and John.
You're Matt.
And you're John.
And I'm John. Hey, guys, how you
Hello,
doing?
audience. And yeah, as always, leave your comments, and we'll reply in live time. Or if you're watching this later on Facebook or YouTube, yeah, feel free to leave a comment. We appreciate our audience. And
Yeah, we do.
yeah, we are your puppets. I know usually, we're used to watching mainstream media where, the puppeteers are behind the strings, but this is your chance to be our puppeteer. We're your puppets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how are you doing? I guess today's show, we'll do some ramblings. We wanted to talk about the election. I think we're almost a little over 2 weeks now from the actual results of the election. So we've been processing that. We're going to talk about penguins.
Penguin, yeah.
And also maybe some doges. We'll talk about penguins and doges and many other streams of consciousness. So what are your thoughts about the election?
I'm still trying to get this going here.
So I guess my thought, maybe we'll start. I think I touched on this a little bit last week, but I think this year's election just showed how powerful long form content. So I mean, we do an hour-long show, but I think this was kind of the first. I think my idea is that this is maybe the first election where this be considered like the podcast election, the first time that podcasts actually started to become more relevant in the mainstream media. Because I think in the future you're only going to see. I don't think it's too long until we see candidates that are really almost don't even prioritize going on the mainstream medias. I think that was one of my big takeaways. Also, it feels like kind of the death of the Democratic Party establishment. I think maybe this has been coming a long way, but I think the root of this kind of election outcome is maybe, I think you can trace it back to even 2016 when Bernie Sanders was kind of not supported. I think that there was a moment there where the Democrats had a kind of a populist movement, and they kind of decided to kind of direct the outcome of their primary towards Hillary Clinton and away from Bernie Sanders. I think that was I think our country would be drastically different. And so what are those are kind of two of many takeaways that I have, but what are some of your
I'm
takeaways?
still struggling. I can't find the stream.
That's all right. We'll be posting this later on
great.
YouTube.
Okay. Well, let me focus. Okay. Well, I'm shocked. I'm disappointed. I'm scared. I'm not sad because, say, oh my God, I'm a liberal and we lost. It's more like somebody I love has been given like a terminal illness, or like an illness.
And who
like
is
a
the
cancer.
person you love?
America.
America.
See, it's not in a performative way. I'm worried about our government and the economy. And that's another thing, because people forget that Donald is incompetent. And I don't think any of his moves, I don't think he's going to do, any of the things he's going to do are going to, like, really benefit America. We're like, wow, we got rid of all this stuff. Now we got all these piles of money to do better things. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I think one of my big takes too is that it seems like the primary topic that was on voters' minds was the economy, and I think a lot of and for me, I think one of the examples essentially you had kind of the establishment or the U.S. establishment has been telling the American people that this is a booming economy, this is the best economy ever.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, people very much with their eyes and ears are experiencing rising prices, and I think there's a lot of noise in this election about. There's just a lot of different topics, but I think at its core, this election was really about the electric, essentially not being. I think the economy was kind of the driving factor of how most people votes, and I think I don't know if this is. Yeah, we have a comment. Nobody wants to hear your whinings about the election, so I think that's one of my biggest hopes is I don't know if it's a whining, but I think the Democrats have just started to kind of do some self reflection on. And I don't know. I think there's. I don't trust that the DNC or the Democratic establishment is going to do soul reflection. I think they kind of lost that opportunity in 2016 when they
really should. And I think you're on the right path there. When we think we need a new party, like a bull moose party, like something that's it's not carrying a lot of the old luggage from the past, and also they could communicate better. They could actually communicate. It doesn't have other people tell our message like in a straw man argument format.
Yeah, and someone had a good point of the Republicans at least. I mean, it was clear they tried marching up, whether it was Marco Rubio, whether it was Nikki Haley, and it kind of the Republican base said no, we want Trump. Whereas on the Democratic side, they kind of there's a kind of a feeling that they don't listen to what the voters want. They kind of just say, here, voters, this is what you're getting this this election cycle.
Yeah.
And I don't think I think this election I saw some data that the other big takeaway was that it wasn't that people turned out for Trump, it was that people didn't turn out for Kamala. And I think what you said there of I think most Americans subscribe that neither of the political parties kind of represent them. And I think you have a lot of people that just sat out this election or a lot of independents. People that I think independent voters are becoming more of a thing because even just the binary Republican Democrat, and that's the thing is there was no perfect. Someone had a quote. There was no perfect candidate on this year's.
There was no, but I do want to tell people you're not going to get perfect. I mean, I'm sorry, like a lot of people, like you're going to have to vote for a woman if if you don't like it, it's too bad. You're gonna have to get used to that. Other people in charge. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just it is frustrating for me. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. But also too, I probably put up with way too much. I would have put up with Joe with like half of his face like drooping. I'd be like, hey, that's kind of cool. I would have accepted that. I think.
If he something that I was never okay with was the whole. Yeah. The Democrats didn't really have a primary because they were going with Joe until they weren't. And they kind of pulled him. And I know. Yeah. And I think that was something that happened. So that was unprecedented in scale. And I think it just came back to the and I think also you saw the Democrats. What was crazy to me is just how the Republicans they cater to their base. They talk to their base. The liberals don't really. They were like trying to court Liz Cheney and the Mitt Romneys of the Republican Party and trying to almost appeal to this centrist war hawk that very much exists in the Washington D.C. but the American people don't like Dick Cheney. They don't like those people. So it almost felt like the Democratic Party they were almost trying to and I think the analogy I made last week is just the analogy that we think of the political spectrum of a left right. I think what you're seeing now is kind of this thing where we're having an inversion where you're having the center of the left and the right come together to form their kind of establishment party, and you're slowly I think you saw this with defectors from the Democrats of people like RFK, people like Tulsi.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Bernie Sanders has stuck around in the DNC,
Yeah.
but you're seeing kind of these people that are outcasts from the left, and obviously I think the far left and the radical people on the left don't feel very welcomed in the DNC. And I think you're slowly almost I don't know. I think you're almost like a changing of the polls and politics in America. But I think.
But we did. We screwed up definitely in messaging. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I wouldn't be good at.
But it's even just I think. I think a big moment of how even come back to this that this was the podcast election. Donald Trump was doing the rounds on long form podcasts. Where Kamala, she did. I think she went on to call her daddy, which was a kind of a female Joe Rogan. But I know just in my sphere, Joe Rogan is somebody that I don't listen to all his shows, but I definitely respect him. And it's just the thing that Kamala couldn't go on Joe Rogan, even though he has an audience of I think some of the videos got 50 million.
That was
views.
a big mistake. She should have.
Or less.
She should have got out there. Did the vice president go on there? Did Walz go on there?
So the Democrats had John Fetterman. He went on, but it was I think that was a big missed opportunity. Especially at that point, I think the polling reflected that men weren't voting for Kamala or the Democratic Party, and that was an opportunity I think to appeal to I think just it speaks to the power of this thing where actually in the presidential election, Kamala needs Joe Rogan more than Joe Rogan needs Kamala. Joe has an audience of loyal followers, and it was really up to Kamala to make the case to go to things. And I think that was just an example. It wasn't even. It was one Trump going on Joe Rogan, so he was exposing himself in a long format to millions of voters, whereas like Kamala, by not going on Joe Rogan, also kind of showed, she's not willing to go on a long form. And I think the long form is so powerful because you really get a sense of people, whether it's a politician or whether it's anyone.
It's a great way to like interview anybody.
Yeah. I think then I saw I think Kamala went and she did SNL like the following week. And it's like, you think this is 1984? Like you think Saturday Night Live is like still culturally relevant? It was just I think it just showed I think there's reporting coming out that they raised over $1 billion and they're in debt. So they spent all this money. It's like, where did all that money? And I don't. I've seen she was paying celebrities to give endorsements. Just it seemed very. I don't know.
But also Saturday Night Live, there's a lot of preaching to the choir. It's kind of like people are already. I think most Saturday Night Live people are already kind of vote for Kamala anyway.
Well, she went on the Call Her Daddy podcast, which is kind of like Joe Rogan for women. And at that point. Again, it's kind of an example of you're preaching to the choir. I don't know how many Call Her Daddy voters or listeners were planning on voting for Trump before it got swung. I think you're saying. And I think that's just kind of the general problem we have in our politics is that people aren't willing to go and speak with or listen to the other side, whether it's left or right. There's lots of things where we're all in our little echo chambers. There's not really. I think that's one of the problems is it's. People on social media just kind of stick to their echo chambers and it kind of radicalizes people, but also, it kind of, that's why I'm just hoping that we can have, because we are still a country, we're still America. I'm hoping that, whether you are crying because you lost or you're cheering because you're a MAGA, I think we need to really have empathy for people on the other side and work to listen.
I know that's another thing. I do have empathy for the other people on the other side. I have, because I think, there's a lot of people are going to get. I'm not really, because I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to in a year or two, when a lot of what he wants to do takes effect, are going to be like, this, or maybe I'm, hopefully I'm wrong.
And I think it's a mixed bag, right? I don't think it's going to be totally bad. And I don't think it's going to be totally good, as Trump says. I know one way that I'm kind of excited is that. Or not excited, but optimistic is the whole war in Ukraine. I think it was again right. The DNC was kind of they're trying to court the Liz Cheney vote and the war hawk Republicans, and it seems like the current regimes they're really there's no end in sight to this war in Ukraine. As an example, their goal is to have a full regime change and full restoration of Ukrainian borders, which is that's great. I hear that's a great way, but in reality, that's not. So I am optimistic that. And it seems like the Republican Party is slowly becoming the party of peace. Or
Yeah,
like the
but
party
they're doing that because they're getting kickbacks from the Russians. That's the only reason they're doing that. They're not sitting there empathizing with peaceful hearts. They don't care if we might end up attacking Mexico or bombing little countries. They're not going to give a shit. They're not. I don't think they're going, oh, Russia. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy on the Republican side, and I think there's been a lot of infiltration from. I know it sounds like a conspiracist, but they've influenced American politics a lot, and media too. They're on a lot of the social media, putting it like they're progressive, promoting influencers and stuff wherever they can, and
I think that's it. I mean, I kind of have the theory that we are in World War III. And I think you do see foreign governments, whether it's Russia, whether it's North Korea, China, realizing that they can't physically invade us, but they can influence our country.
They can, very easily,
software of installing right ideas into our citizens' heads. And I don't know. I think I've heard Putin. He talks about. I mean, he rants kind of against him and Trump are kind of ranting against the same people, which he talks about kind of the globalists, the elite in Washington D.C., which. I think one thing I'm concerned about is I saw today there's news that actually Ukraine launched missiles into Russia using U.S. missiles. So we have this point of the United States is at this point, right, where we're kind of fighting a proxy war in Russia using Ukraine. So Ukraine's launching missiles into Russia that are made by the United States, and it seems, and I think that's kind of, it's disturbing because I think, I think. I mean, one part that I'm not optimistic about is just the whole, these endless wars that kind of seem to go on forever. I think a lot of Americans is pretty popular policy idea to have, Americans, I think at this point we don't want those anymore. They're not popular. And, I don't know. I'm optimistic that maybe the current strategy that, we're just going to fund these wars endlessly with no objective in sight. I'm hopeful that those can end because I think they do need to end.
We never really put together a solid policy that we could hand off, from Democrat to Republican, of where we didn't support democracies. We overthrew democracies through the 70s and 60s.
And even in Ukraine in the early 2010 when they have the electorate, and I think that's the problem is the Republican and Democrat establishment, they both support forever endless wars because they both make money off of it. And I think, that's kind of the issue is, and even I think Tulsi Gabbard's been kind of branded as a Russian asset, but as I've looked at it, the only thing I've found is that she went to Syria and was, it seemed like it was her openness and willingness to communicate and to be in contact, which I think is something, I think America, we have this very, very, we have an inability to see things from other sides, and we think we can, it's just a general attitude where we feel like we can go and implement democracy through force, which I think obviously there's bad dictators and people in the world, but we don't exercise. We're the United States of America. We can try to influence them, but we can't tell them what to do, which is
but at the same time too, we can't let Russians invade democracies and take over land, and you just keep asserting themselves and inserting themselves. And basically that's one thing that pisses me off about Trump. He wants to turn his back on NATO, which is that's our thing. That's our club. That's we're Tony Stark. We're Captain America of NATO, and he wants to basically just like a little kid just squander, 70 years of diplomacy, of hard work, intelligence, and bravery, actual bravery from actual vets, real men who fought in World War II. And he wants to turn his back on NATO because, he gets a boner when he's when he's near Putin. That's what really kind of disturbs me.
I think even NATO, I mean, you can't blow it up, but I think there needs to be some self-reflection from the NATO side and from my understanding, part of the Soviet Union turning over East Germany to NATO was the agreement that NATO would not move 1 inch further. We gave assurances that NATO will not move 1 inch towards the east. And then in the 90s, we added Eastern European countries like Poland, whatever. And I think at the heart of this war
Yeah.
is, again, we don't view NATO as aggressive, but if we have to put ourselves in the Russian shoes, if you see NATO and the United States keep moving forward, and now we're trying to make Ukraine into NATO, we might not see it as aggression, but the Russians experience that as aggression, especially given their history that they've been invaded in Ukraine. I think there's an economist I saw that had a good quote of, we needed, it's too late now, but we needed diplomacy to kind of build up Ukraine and make it this, right? NATO and Russia have an interest in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And this current war doesn't help anywhere. But I think, you can't blow it up, but also you can't kind of continue to just push forward east and not think that there's going to be consequences. And I think that's it is scary because I think that's one of the things that's happening in this current moment of time is the World War II, the post World War II global order is kind of slowly unraveling.
Yeah.
Where the United States has kind of been the unipolar power, like the only power, and that's slowly fragmenting into multiple, whether it's the U.S. pole, a China, Russia pole, and kind of this internet pole that I think are these three kind of emerging poles of power.
Yeah. Well, I hope whatever happens. Well, I don't know. I just, I feel bad because, I just hope. I don't think we're going to get anything out after Donald does what he's going to do to this country in 4 years. Hopefully it's only 4 years.
That's the thing is, there's no doubt that the United States is going to be radically different in 2028, 4 years from now.
Yeah.
Partly for external forces, but also, I don't think we make it out remotely close. So what that looks like on the other end, I don't know. I think there are some scary potential outcomes, and in that there are some potential. Right, I think we all kind of know that we need change. Whether this is the change that we need, I don't know. But we're definitely going to be changed.
Yeah, we'll definitely get change. Yeah.
But I think I don't know. I feel like there was kind of some optimism in. I don't know. I think going back to Obama's 2018 campaign he ran on hope and change, hope and change. I don't know if we have as much hope, but we're definitely getting change. I think that's kind of at least from someone who the first election I was eligible to vote for was in 2008. So there's been this consistent theme of Americans want hope and change, we want hope and change, and we just don't get it. So I hope the Democrats can have some self-reflection and decide to run, because I think there is a part populism, whether it's far right populism or economic populism. I think there is an opportunity to build a broad coalition of a working class party that, like you're saying, comes back to the Bull Moose party, but an actual party that represents actual working class people, which I don't know if any of the current parties currently do, but I think
that would be nice. Yeah, that would be something that would be good. Yeah, an actual working class party. Yeah,
because I think there's an analogy of winter sucks, right? When winter comes, it sucks. It's cold, it's brittle, but you kind of need a winter to wipe out what's old and bring in something new. And I think there is there's the sense of civic pride, being proud to be American, and I think there is that. It's dormant in our country, and it's waiting to be tapped into.
But the thing is, I can do that without hurting an immigrant, or somebody who's maybe here illegally. I've never met an illegal immigrant, so in this area we don't really interact with them that much. It's not like we go downtown and well, maybe there are out there, but I've never interacted with a farm worker or anything. I know there's other cities where there are cities where they're in the town, and
I think I've slowly started to see more immigrants and refugees, and I think I think it's described in the Statue of Liberty, give me your wretched, give me your poor. And I think that's the vision, the ideal of America, which is very much the thing, is we should be the country that's any oppressive regime around the world. We should be welcoming their citizens to our shores and giving them a path towards citizenship and becoming American. But it feels like what we've become is we are now we go start wars, right? This war in the Middle East, which then caused a refugee crisis in Europe, in the United States, and then we kind of close our doors. And it's no, we need to eat what we sow. If we're the ones starting wars that disrupt, create waves of refugees, we should. If there's any place they should be fleeing to, it should be the United States. And it seems kind of, we're far from the ideal of give me your wretched, give me your poor. Because they should be welcomed here, especially when we're the ones, right?
We cause a lot of the problems.
Yeah, we shouldn't be. And I think it's coming to light too, even that the war on drugs, which made drugs illegal, then set up a whole black market where you have all these drugs being made in South America, and where are all these immigrants coming from? South America, because it's I don't know, right? Where we kind of go around the world causing problems, and then
having to fix them years later, yeah.
Even I mean, part of the problem is that I think, right, you saw this establishment of the elites in Washington. Going back to NAFTA, they created NAFTA, created free trade, and it essentially sent, all our jobs overseas. And now we're so relying on China, right? We have all this cheap stuff that we import from China. Meanwhile, all our good-paying jobs, went overseas, which ruined our economy, which then led to kind of the economic populism I think you see today. Because even like the Rust Belt, there's this whole. I think, right, even with COVID, we learned we need to kind of bring our supply chains and our manufacturing into the United States, and I don't know if tariffs is the way to do that, but definitely the
well, we'll see.
We'll see, but I think we're starting to realize how vulnerable we are because we rely on cheap Chinese labor to make our stuff. How that right, we're just one virus away from it's I don't know. I don't think it's all doom and gloom, but it's definitely not rainbow and sunshine.
I'm more of a doom and gloomer now.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I should try to be a hopeful person. Oh.
I think I'm realistic. I think people always in the moment feel like it's worse than it is.
Yeah.
It definitely feels not good, but I think, I don't know. Like I said, I think the American spirit is in all of us. I think the ideal of America about individual freedom and about freedom of speech and this great experiment we have, I'm hopeful. But again, some big entity is not going to come save us. Ultimately, democracy is like a peer-to-peer experiment, and it's up to each one of us to kind of all you can kind of do is control your own immediate environment. To be aware.
Yeah.
So what was the penguins you want to talk
the penguin. Okay, this is our thing. Okay, if anybody out there has HBO, go get HBO for one. And then, but okay, one of the good news series on there is called The Penguin. And those of you who know about comics, it's based on one of Batman's enemies, the Penguin. Now, in this series, he never goes whack, 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 or anything like that. He was actually considered. I always considered him kind of the lamer Batman enemies.
He sounds like a penguin seems like a lame nemesis. I just know them. They just huddle together on Antarctica. That's pretty much all I know.
And I know the the Danny DeVito penguin was kind of cartoon. Yeah, it was kind of. I don't know if you remember that. It was really horrid. Yeah, but this penguin it's more of a Tony. It's an actual crime drama, and they don't really mention. They don't mention Batman really at all, and it's just. But you're in Gotham. It's more like a Breaking Bad or the Sopranos, because you see this. The Penguin, now he's this tough guy. He's like this cunning. He's really ruthless and cunning, but he's kind of likable too. He has that likability, and he gets a sidekick who's he's like a nice kid who you're rooting for. Who like his family's been wiped out, so him and the Penguin meet. And it's like a buddy, like the young kids helping out Penguin, and and also there is. He has his protagonist is a really well played Sophie. Her name's Sophia, after my girlfriend, but she's a really good protagonist. Like I wouldn't call her a girl boss, but it's a well written female lead who's also in the crime industry. But it's like you're really, whoa, she is so cool, and you're like, they're going to wipe each other out at some point, but you like both of them, and Sophia's really.
Are they competing crime families or
this? You see him rise. So like one crime boss died. Then I don't like to go into it. Some of them, he has something to do with some of them dying, and he's swapping loyalty. He's scheming and stuff, and it's like a lot of Game of Thrones stuff. But also she's very compelling too. She was screwed over by her family, but she comes back to power. So it's really like, and you can see you get personally interested because like,
yeah. Why do you think that is? Because Game of Thrones, why is the power dynamic between human beings?
Yeah.
Why is it so?
yeah,
And I mean, bringing back to politics, I think there was somebody showed a clip of Joe Biden
yeah,
meeting with Trump in the White House, and he had like the biggest smile on his face. And
Yeah.
Then saw some reporting that maybe the plan was to squash Joe and then have an open primary, but Joe kind of ruined it because he resigned and then
Yeah.
immediately endorsed Kamala without. So, but there's something, and then I was like, that's awesome for Joe. He got stabbed in the back, and I don't know. There's something.
'Cause
That
if he
speaks to,
would have
like,
won, that would have been a brilliant move. That would have been
Well,
if she would have won.
Well, I think that was the kind of the thing of if
Yeah.
he endorses Kamala, either he wins and then he's a hero, or he loses and then she loses and he says, "I told you so." So it's kind of a win-win from him.
Yeah.
But you know, there's like, I don't know, there's something about empathizing with someone that's maybe, I don't maybe agree with Joe or the Democrats,
Yeah.
but like there's something about if you get done wrong and then you kind of take revenge. There's a little bit of human. I don't know if we have empathy with people with
Yeah.
that, like, yeah, getting revenge on someone that did you wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. There's and you're kind of rooting for both of them to get revenge. There's some good like yes, like that guy had that coming kind of stuff. But then there's twists in there too where you're like, oh, where you're like yeah, like there is great toward the end. There is a great kind of like you know.
That was even weird. I mean, even Breaking Bad was a good example of you somehow over the course of time you get to know Walter White.
Yeah.
And by the end, you're kind of
I
I
was
was
rooting
like,
for him.
yeah, you're rooting for
I
him,
was
even
rooting
though I don't know. So it's interesting how
Yeah.
like clearly he's doing a like very terrible things. Like right, he's cooking meth in his and you just think of all the harm he's causing the world because he's getting people addicted to it.
Yeah,
But at the
yeah.
same time, then you're kind of rooting for him because you know his backstory and you feel like he was
Yeah.
done wrong by somebody.
And he needed it was for health reasons originally.
I think that was
He had the cancer.
I think that was part of the whole show of seeing
Yeah.
how something with good intentions can kind of
Yeah.
slowly, where's the line? Because there's many times he just keeps pushing the line.
But he really got like I would probably get it like, hey, call me Heisenberg. Yeah, say my name. He's really like doubling down and
Because I think that was part of his evolution. That's why it's funny to see the whole show and then see him in the beginning where he's kind of this meek person, but you could tell, his ego. There's something about him, his repressed ego that is starting to express kind of the I don't know.
And I liked it when he told his wife, he's like, you think I'm the weak one who somebody knocks on my door at night and I'm afraid? He's like, no, I'm the one who knocks.
Yeah. My favorite one was when he told Hank, if it's true you don't know who I am, maybe your best course is to tread lightly. I think that was
Yeah.
and you could see Hank.
Yeah. But he was stupid too. He was making stupid decisions, and I thought he did.
Well, yeah, it clearly wasn't a perfectly
Yeah.
executed plan, but I think there's something about I don't know. That's just a compelling. I think that's why even coming back to long form, like these shows that, right? I think these long TV series that go on over multiple seasons, right? They kind of you can develop plots and develop characters way deeper than you can in a 30-minute sitcom or a 1 hour or an hour and a half movie. Like, I think it's very powerful, and I'm excited. Crime dramas.
Yeah.
Especially the mafia. I think feels like it's
It's
almost like the Wild West. I know growing up, the Wild West is like a popular topic. Where now it seems,
Yeah, I would rather. Did you watch The Sopranos?
I have never
Oh, okay,
actually
yeah.
seen The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Just kind of
Yeah.
There's a whole part of my brain which is like pop culture, TV culture that I just like. There's certain areas that I'm pretty ignorant to a lot of TV or shows.
Yeah.
But isn't there a scene where I just know there's the scene where they have the horse head in his bed or something.
That
Or
that
that's
was
the
pretty
Godfather.
good. Yeah. But that was well. It does kind of also. It reminds me of our family too. Like
what
the Italian. I was like, oh.
Well, as I feel like you messed out as Italians, it's like, oh, we should have had some sort of mafia or some sort of family where we were kind of the poor working class Italians that probably weren't in on the
And on the crimes.
Crimes and the money. There's the money
crimes
and
the money, yeah. We I think a lot of Italians like to insinuate that they knew mob guys or this guy was a mob guy or they knew connected people, but we were out of the loop, and we weren't Sicilian, so
Listen, I think lamenting back to kind of our pre-show recording of, it seems like before the internet, there was this time where you like grew up in a community in a neighborhood and like all the families knew each other. So like I just imagine, oh yeah, the Italians on the west side, there's this whole community of like Italian families that all knew each other. Whereas now I think you're seeing technology kind of, we're more connected than ever, but we're also more isolated. So like, just the whole idea of even just my experience of growing up in the suburbs of most people, it's, you know, your neighbors, but most people get home from work, roll up and then roll down their driveway doors and kind of retreat to their houses. And I feel like we kind of missed the whole neighborhood
But
vibe.
too, one good thing we did miss out on is the idea of like, hey, that's an Irish guy, beat him up, or there comes a Polish guy. Like when, because people do get very tribal. Like even like I know that at work, we get very much like B shift. You know, we're from the A shift, and it's just over stupid things, like, you know. But people do get. I'm glad we didn't have it very much tribalism growing up because we grew up in the
I think
suburbs.
that's probably something in our evolution history. Because I read once that there's some tribes in the Amazon that like live on either side of a river. Yeah. And like, if us Westerners saw them, we'd be like, oh, those are the same people. Look, they look exactly the same. But to them, it's not that they didn't view them as different people. Those tribes didn't view the other tribe as human beings. They engaged in cannibalism, and the root of it was because it's not that they thought they were another tribe. They thought that's a different species than us, and they were both an Amazon tribe.
Yeah.
On the same river, just opposite sides of the river. And I think that was, I don't know, there's something about, I think this comes back to our evolution of, like, we grew up in these 150 tribes where, like, the other tribes were threats to us. I don't know, that's probably ingrained, but I think maybe that's, because, like you're saying, we have, human beings have a great skill, it seems like, to other people from out groups. Or
we
other
do
groups.
it very quickly over petty things.
Like you're saying, you could be working at an organization and the A shift and B shift then become different tribes.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen it like in New York. You would have different groups. Like you know the C line, B line, and the people like, John, the people from the B line, they're stealing our work. They're taking our work, and I'm like, no, they're not. And I'd look into stuff, and they weren't, but people would have to over there. And it was funny because the way it worked, it was like people would usually buddy up. The person right next to them they liked.
Yeah.
Well, that was good. It was good. And then it was like, but the people on the other line, they were against, and even further, it was funny how it all done. And of course, at New Era also, we hated the other facility. Like they were other.
That's it. And I think the farther away they are, the more the less you know anything about them, and the more it's easier to kind of. Yeah. I think there's many ways of our daily life is kind of still playing on that primal instinct to discriminate against others. Yeah. We do other people. Yeah, and I feel bad because I other people. I other the political opposition. Well, it's kind of right. It's ingrained to us because you need to be able to quickly make right. If you're living in a tribe situation where other people are threats, you need to be able to kind of formulate quick responses that protect your livelihood. So I think there also probably is some instinctual and evolutionary reasons of why. Right when I think there's a study that you can only really know. I think it's like 100 or 150 people is really the max number of people you can actually hold relationships with. So you kind of do need to form generalizations about groups of you kind of abstract reality because I think the example and it's kind of like right. We need to understand, right? Human beings have 5 fingers, right? Yeah. Except for, right? Well, what about people that have amputated hands? Yeah. Or what about some people that, through an abnormality, have 6 fingers? So it's like we need to have the general abstraction that human beings have 5 hands with the understanding that there is nuance to, well, if you had your arm is amputated, then you have 0 fingers. So it's actually not true that human beings have 5 fingers. So it's, we kind of have these. We need to generalize because it would be if you knew every single topic into the nuance, you wouldn't be able to operate. But you also need to. So
you do. You do sometimes have to generalize about. Things. But then those generalizations become tribes, and people are like people generalize people on the other side to ridiculous amounts. That's why I hate straw man arguments. To me,
I think that's dangerous, especially with how human beings are kind of susceptible to cults and just communities of these all can go off the guardrails very quickly. Because I think even a job's kind of a cult in a way. You're kind of a group of people that come together for a community. I think there's something. Yeah, I think we're have very old hardware that's still trying to adopt to the modern world. And I think it's easy in politics too to kind of plan those primal instincts to kind of divide people. Versus bring them together. I like our neighbors, the Canadians. I've always liked them. They're cool. I think I've always made the analogy that Buffalonians are more culturally closer to the average Canadian than the average American. Just with our proximity to Canada. But I think the U.S.-Canada relationship has there's lots of things we've done. So Saturday was also Taro Sugimoto's 70th birthday. So
okay.
He was the fake. The fake.
Yeah.
I've thought so much about him that in my mind he seems very real.
Taro
Sugimoto.
A legendary hockey player. He came to Buffalo.
He was drafted in the. He was a fake player, but Taro Sugimoto. And I'm still writing. I'm worked over the weekend on a song, but I found a song about Mamo Taro. It's a Japanese song about a peach boy. There's some legend of peach. So in my folk song, I have to incorporate peaches.
Peach boy. Okay.
Into my I think Mamo Taro makes for a catchy.
Did I throw in my new band that I like?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
No, not the yes. That's a good American band. Those are good. That's a good rock and roll, like good old fashioned rock and roll band, like punk kind of.
3 chords and the truth.
Yeah, heavy, like kind of like good melodies, good songs, good everything. The yes. So that's another thing for you folks out there. Go listen to the yes.
Yeah, we're pumping their music. Do you have any? I know you had some emerging folk political music. Do you have any more? Any more songs that have come to your?
No, I haven't. I've had them in the past, but I don't have any right now. No.
Any upcoming art shows?
No, I haven't. No art shows.
Your idea about an AI show. I think something something going on in the internet right now is artificial intelligence.
Yes.
In artificial intelligence, at least something I've seen is it's starting to interface with crypto. So there's actually been AI agents that have started to spin up their own cryptocurrency coins. So there was a token called GOAT token, which is this artificial agent has started to autonomously pumping its own crypto coin.
Yeah.
So that's just one thing. But the whole AI revolution is going on while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that AI, they make great stuff. Like, have you seen the little films? I've been watching, they have little films with monsters or where they can just do this incredible, dreamlike. It's dreamlike, like macabre things or imagery with they could have a theme like 50s retro monsters. And
it has access to every artist of every era, and it can I don't know where is this going, especially when it comes to art, because art, it's changing art. I think at the same time, I don't know, it's interesting because I think human beings are unique. We're able to easily think creative thoughts, which I think is kind of, I don't know, I think our economy is built on a lot of why are so many jobs just drudgery? Shouldn't they be more engaging?
Yeah, they are. You got to do the drudgery. Yeah, I like drudgery because I could listen to my podcast. I could listen to my music. I could do my. I'm very good at programming my hands to do stuff. And
most jobs are kind of jobs that you just do over and over again, which is what computers can do.
Yeah.
If computers, something at the point of computers will just work 24/7. They don't complain about their wages, their working conditions. I don't know how the world's changing is something I think that is kind of I don't know. It's something that's happening very quickly.
It's crazy. Yeah. But it's nuts. Yeah, it's So what else? I'm reading Dante's Divine Comedy.
Yeah, what is Dante? I think it's based on Dante's Inferno.
You know what? I believe the Inferno, that might be part of the book. Because the deal is, good old Dante, with the help of his favorite author, Virgil, travels through limbo, then through purgatory, then through hell, and then up into heaven. So he gets to meet the whole crew. And it's kind of like, who's your favorite author? What do you think?
This is based on the poem. This is from Wikipedia. Inferno, Dante, is the first part of Italian writer Dante Alighieri's 14th century narrative poem, The Divine Comedy.
Yeah.
It describes the journey of a fictionalized version of Dante himself through hell, guided by the ancient Roman poet Virgil. In the poem, hell is depicted as 9 concentric circles of torment located within the earth. It is the realm of those who have rejected spiritual values by yielding to bestial appetites or violence, or by perverting their human intellect to fraud or malice against their fellow men.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's kind of harsh. It's like, but it's like stuff. It's more like you're doing it to yourself. I know in One Ring of Hell he goes to where the guy was really into vengeance.
Yeah.
So this guy is just gnawing on his enemy's skull through all eternity, and because he was just, I got revenge on this person, but then it gets into stuff like there's a gay dude who's in there getting punished. It was a guy that he throws in people he knew, like here's my old friend Alfonso, and like he is he is dying in the glutton ring of hell or whatever, and he has and one of it's a gay friend who's getting punished for gayness, which is I thought was kind of uncool, but it's all the sins that in the Middle Ages that a person could and also not choosing a side is against good or evil is a sin in limbo.
It's a sin to not choose.
The angels, there's angels in there who didn't choose a side between the devil and God, who are just like, what the fuck, I don't want to deal with this, and they get thrown in hell. And also, I think people too that will get.
So being neutral gets you to hell,
which to me is like, yeah, god damn. It's like the Middle Ages, like what the hell? Yeah, so they're in there.
Well, yeah, it says the first circle: limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, wrath.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to those
heresy,
fun parts yet. Yeah.
Violence.
Yeah.
I think that's, I don't know. Maybe it's about fraud.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I think as you get older, you kind of, I don't know. I have something I've contemplated as my own need for vengeance or revenge against people that I feel like have done me wrong.
Yeah.
I don't have the ability, at least, why can't I let certain things go? I don't know. And I think, but even your point of staying neutral goes you to hell. That's kind of like, crap, you can't just sit there. And,
but it's also, I think back in the day when it was all just God, everything put you in hell. It was like you can't win anyway. So it's like, I don't know. It was great in the Middle Ages because everything had an explanation. Like God made this, God made that. But then it's like, oh my God, how can you?
And that's why I think Christianity became the popular religion. It's such a popular. It's like politics for the poor when most people were poor. Like to say that, don't get angry at that king or that ruler. Yeah. Let them be what is theirs. Like you can go to heaven as a poor man. All you have to do is be a good person. That's like a very empowering ideology for
the thing is about religion. Yeah, about religions. They all kind of in the end, kind of like just reinforce the capitalist system. I'm not like a communist, but they do. I'm pro religion, but they do like Confucianism does it, and it's always like just be happy to be a peasant, and like and just be content and don't really be too envious and stuff. It does all just reinforce a societal.
There's somebody that said that the most important moment or occurrence in the 21st century was Buddhism coming to the West, because I think that. I mean, it's a religion, right? But it's kind of not. They don't believe in anything. They're almost trying to train human beings to be detached from anything. And I think, I don't know, especially. I think I've come to understand religion is more not literal reality, but there's metaphors and imagery that is kind of communicated and painted in a way for for people to live their lives. Because
Yeah.
even fraud, I guess I'm interested in. Yeah, and I think I don't know.
Yeah, but what was I going to say? But but some of the things, some of the stuff too, it's bad for you too. So really, it's like revenge. You never really get revenge, and it's like you're punishing yourself more than anything. Like in the end, like all the I know, I can think about when times I've been wrong. It comes back in your head, even if you don't want it. Like, fuck, why am I thinking about it?
Yeah, how do you?
And you don't. Yeah.
How do you channel that into something productive? Which I think. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
What's productive? Then?
If we were like tough guys, we'd go to the gym and punch things and get stronger. I think
I tried to channel it recently into art, so trying to channel it into music. And,
music.
I think writing songs is a powerful form of therapy, I guess. Because it's a way for you to kind of channel.
I've literally painted things I hate. I've painted like a lot of my things. I've painted. I painted Donald Trump put in jail. That was me.
Well, you can kind of communicate. Yeah. You can channel your. I think it's a creative. Anger, all emotions, right? Art. I think art's about emotion. It's about provoking emotion.
Yeah.
If art, whether it's visual or audio or any form of art, if it doesn't provoke them, it's not even. That's why it's something I've come to appreciate. It's not asking is art good. Is this art good or bad? Is like a wrong way of thinking. It's like, does this art provoke emotion? Any emotion, and if it does, then it's good art. It's not. That's at least how I've come to define art. If it has to make you feel or think something.
Yeah. That's a good way of looking at things. Yeah. Good old art. Yeah. But creativity is. Yeah, I like being creative. You have to get stuff out there.
Yeah, I think there's I don't think that's something that's appreciated in our modern economy.
Yeah.
But yeah, want to talk about bread and circuses?
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So we touched on politics, religion.
If I go to the circus, I wouldn't mind having some bread with me.
Yeah. Well, that's I think people usually say bread and circuses as if they looked down upon the circus because I think kind of the metaphor was that some Roman guy or he came up with the analogy to say how the people in power would use bread and circuses to kind of pacify the masses, and it kind of like downplays the role of circus. It kind of says like, oh, don't focus on circus because it's there's more important things like bread. But I think part of life is enjoying the circus, right? Life is a giant circus, and
you got to have something to do. I mean,
yeah. I mean, the Buffalo Bills. That's the most recent circus. I think the NFL is kind of the modern day circus. They kind of own Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Sunday used to belong to the Catholic Church, and now it belongs to
sports.
Sports. Yeah. It's kind of even the Romans, right? They had the Colosseum where they would just have I don't know fully the details of it, but they would have they'd pit bears and lions against like
they did insane stuff. Yeah. They would fill it up with water and have fights in battle, water fights with guys in little ships.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Yeah.
And they like import exotic creatures and then, I don't know, pit them against. Yeah. But I would think the modern circus today it's crazy how I think we're going to learn how much damage, whether it's even this recent boxing event with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, like, it's coming out that boxing is right. Human beings shouldn't be punching each other in the head. Like Muhammad Ali is, I think, a good example of it. It's not good for humans. I think a lot of the NFL, I think a lot of professional sports, the concussions is going to come out. I think there's research coming out that a lot of the guys that played football 50 years ago, they're like have severe
they're really messed up.
Yeah, and I think there's some football players that have shot themselves in the chest because in their suicide note say, I want my brain to be studied for science, which is like, because taking repeated blows to the head is not good. And kind of there's the warrior culture of sports to, push through it no matter what. Cause they're highly compensated. It's kind of the modern day circus. Then it's kind of crazy, especially locally, how the Bills got $800 million of taxpayer money to build a stadium, which is essentially like a facility for a private entity, right?
That's always got like people. I've heard like people complain to me about Tesla. Oh, we paid for it. The New York State, we paid for it. But you pay for sports.
Yeah.
And it generates. It does. There's some income that goes back, but I don't know.
I think there's been plenty of research that has shown that public subsidies for sports stadiums do not pay for themselves, so they are
okay.
yeah. But
Well,
again, sports, we don't do it for economic reasons. There's it's emotions, right? Most the communities, especially Buffalo, their identity is tied to the professional sports team. And it is a way. I mean, even the politicians, they kind of cave because bread and circuses, give the people circuses, and then people. It'd be very politically unpopular to just not give the Bills a tax break and then the Bills went somewhere else. That would be you're as a politician, you're asking yourself, even though it might not be the right thing to do. It's
Yeah. But it's crazy. Yeah. But it's called sports. Yeah. It's oh man.
And I've been as I've been writing my song about Taro Sugimoto, I've been studying Japanese music. And they have this terminology of, let me see if I can find it here. I think it's joku. But essentially they have this idea that all things, they start, art is a thing, but they start simply and then they slowly escalate, and then they end in kind of some big bangs. They view art as that kind of process, but also if you think of life, just think of human life. When you're a child, your life from 0 to 18 is very slow, and then you kind of become an adult, and you kind of have this process, and then you go out with a bang when you die. But it's kind of I'm probably not describing that right, but I think there's lots of math too embedded in Japanese music. They have like rhyming schemes where it's 7/5, so having 7 beats then 5, so having 12 is something that occurs in their music. And I've become much more interested in Japanese culture. It's kind of like a cultural phenomenon.
It's a great culture. Yeah, it's great stuff. Like oh, they do that. That's cool. Yeah, it's an advanced non-Western culture.
And it's crazy how quickly. I mean, we dropped the atomic bomb not that long ago, and it's crazy how they don't seem to be holding a grudge against us. I don't know.
Oh, geez. God, you gotta love them for that. Yeah, they seem very intelligent and mature because we're jerks. Yeah. We're annoying as hell.
We also have this massive country that just lives on islands. They've kind of had to like adopt, and I think we get we're spoiled with how spread out we are. We all have plenty of land to relax and be American on
and be annoying. And one thing I've seen lately, there's been influencers who go to Japan just to be jerks. There's this guy named Johnny Somali. I don't know if you've seen him. He goes to he's now in Korea. He's going to go to prison in Korea, and he will just go and disrespect Asian people. It's incredibly infuriating for somebody like me or you, because he's just being like the worst stereotype American and just sitting there like to me it just annoys me really deeply. He's going to hopefully he'll do some time in prison in Korea, because they kicked him out of Japan because he would just go up to people, go up to statues, and do very disrespectful thing. Maybe next week we could talk more about him. But he's just I hope he spends like at least 10 years in prison.
That's in the culture. And even I'm reading here that the Japanese have 3 levels of politeness.
Yeah.
So they have plain form, which is kuda keta, simple polite form, which is tenai, and then advanced politeness with kaigo. And I think that's where language comes in. We just have, you're polite, but they actually have different levels to it. And I think there's an Eskimo culture that has like dozens of words for snow based on the type of snow. I think that's something of how powerful language is. It limits, if you don't have words for certain things, there's certain ideas that can't even exist in your culture.
Yeah, and I think like some of them are like light snow, heavy snow, wet snow, dry snow, super snow, little bitty snow, like grady snow. They're all. That's some of them. The Indian words.
That's even just with the thing of like polite. And that's why I think English. There's lots of words that we don't have. Like there's lots of concepts when you try. So I think it disempowers your population, and if there's certain concepts that you don't have language for, then you can't express them, and if you can't express them, then you can't communicate them. So yeah, and I think that's why, I mean, come back to the kind of full circle to American, like the idea of free speech in America is so so true to our identity because yeah, language is such a powerful force in the world. Somebody had a good quote that all human innovation is come from language, right? The idea of the wheel or the fire all came through human beings communicating to each other.
Yeah.
And we do that, yeah.
Yeah,
Through
also,
words.
Yeah, through words and through writing and people building on other people's ideas.
Yeah. It's just kind of crazy to think that we're just making sounds with our.
Yeah.
What's your quote you had from your screaming orifice from your
Or
art,
our screaming orifice?
your H.P. Lovecraft art?
One of them had what was it? A blasphemy orifice, or was is an orifice just for
profanity
bla-
orifice.
Yeah, profanity orifice. Yeah,
something
yeah,
of that
blasphemy.
nature.
It was like a blasphemy orifice. Yeah, yeah, just from your blasphemy orifice. Yeah. I'll have to bring up that picture again. Yeah, because that was a polyp. It was a fly. It was a It was a horrendous thing that was just shouldn't have been. It was like tentacles and orifices and.
Yeah. If you were the designer, if you were God and you were designing human beings, what's some improvement would you give us? Would you give us wings? Would you give us, gills? What kind of? Is there something on your meat bag that you feel like you're missing that you're?
See, now we're getting good.
I think wings. I'd give human beings wings.
I think almost. Yeah, I think that's in the human head. Wings.
Well, if you
Weird.
had wings, then you could connect. We wouldn't be as segregated by our geography, right? We could cross borders. Maybe those tribes that were warring each other, if they were able to fly across, they could build peace.
Wings they take up a lot of room. They'd have to redesign doors and stuff, but
What's the trade-off? Somehow we lost tails along the way because monkeys and bulls have tails. I think we actually do have a tailbone, right? There's an actual bone there that used to be our tail.
Bone.
I guess the tail for thumbs trade was a good trade in the long run.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Well, that's the end of our rambling show. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Yeah.
This is Small Talk with Matt and John.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to me.
Yeah. Thanks for thinking twice.
Yeah. And,